Hello, my name is Elisa Tafoya, and welcome to my LMS Developmental Course presentation for New Mexico State University course CEL 580 with Sandra Johnson. We are currently at my home page for my online developmental course shell, which is for a 7th grade language arts class. I start off with a quote and hopefully some motivation that every accomplishment starts with a decision to try. With that quote, I move on with a brief summary of my course. Navigating through as easily as possible, allowing students to click on the course syllabus or to the assignments list. I'm choosing to go to the course syllabus, and this welcomes my 7th grade language arts community to Mrs. Tafoya's class. Again, beginning with another quote about intelligence, not because you think you know everything without questioning, but rather because you question everything you think you know. This is a brain teaser and a way to get students learning and thinking about communicating and about language arts and about interpreting and analyzing language. As we scroll through the syllabus, right away a student would see my contact information right there. I think that's very important. I've been a student before, and finding information, contact information for the instructor was sometimes difficult. So I made sure that I placed that right away at the beginning of my syllabus. Moving down through the course overview, outlining the common core standards for language arts in New Mexico, and outlining the modules and assessments and resources. I provided a direct link to these last three so that students may go directly to them. I think those are important areas that they would navigate. And additionally, I have a list of assignments. As you can see, I don't have a whole lot plugged into my developmental course, but as time goes along, I expect that to be obviously a little bit fuller. Navigating through the course, I can quickly click on a link and it will take me to the page that I need. In this instance, my course module. Here is where I will chunk my information and content together. Right now I have just one module complete. However, I have other units that I have put in place according to the Common Core standards for New Mexico. But focusing in on just Module 1 is all my content that pertains to figurative language. And I take them through and getting them started. It's a content page and slideshow. The content page is text and reading. The slideshow is a visual for those learners that like both. Moving on with the figures of speech discussion. It is my first communication activity where learners will discuss different figures of speech, and in response, students will respond back to their peer explaining what that meaning is or what literary device was used. For instance, if I say, the cat got your tongue, that is a figure of speech, meaning that a person is shy or does not have much to say. So as a peer, I'd respond with that or say what literary device it was. That to get the class going, and the first part of the communication activity for Module 1 is the figures of speech. As you can see, I can go from this discussion on to the next part of the module in the literary devices. And what this takes me to is a resource page after my discussion that will go ahead and allow students to further research and learn about additional, in this case, additional literary devices. And they can use that in further applications that they'll have in their modules. So as they plug them right through, what I like about this is that I could go ahead and instead of creating an external link, that link was just embedded into Canvas. So instead of students having to go outside of Canvas, they stay directly in there. So I think that was a nice feature. Moving along to the next part is another resource page. I put them right into the module so it pertains to that area of what they're working on, just to make resources a little bit easier to find and again pertaining to that subject. So here's another resource that I gave the students, figurative language examples that they can use. That's also to help them with their discussion and a further collaboration that's later on in the module, and that's really what this is for. I stick it in between. Right here are examples of similes, and students can read through these examples of metaphors. Metaphors and similes are difficult to understand, and so the more we know, the more we'll be able to understand, and I think that's what's important. Next is another collaboration. It's the second communication activity, in which students will finish my line. This collaboration is done through Google Docs, and when I click that last link, it takes me to the collaborations area of Canvas, and I give further directions. So students here are to use literary devices and finish my line by adding a sentence or two. It's a minimum of one sentence with figurative language to create a short story. And as the stories are passed around, people will add to it, therefore being a collaborative effort. Each person must contribute a minimum of one sentence with figurative language, and at the end of the written sentence they must cite their name in parentheses in order to receive credit. So I start the story, and it's passed around through Google, and people will add on to it. So here I am in Google Docs. It's loading up, and this is what I have started. On a gorgeous sunny day in the middle of the desert, I ran into a dog with eyes of blood and darkness that hungrily looked me over. With a smack and slurp of its jaws, a drop of saliva dropped like tears to the ground, and in my parentheses, my name. So here it is. Students will collaborate as soon as typing is done. There are automatic changes, so therefore if there are several users on this Google Doc at once, they will be immediately updated and other users will be able to see and interact with that. So a good way to do it. That is the second communication activity. All right, back at the course modules page. We just got done with the collaboration right here, and I provide another resource page, which is this little link icon right here. That's what that indicates, is that it's a link reference, and that reference is to what is language arts, and that will get them thinking about their next assignment and how to help answer that. Right here for assignment 1, I did an open-ended response, and I noticed earlier when I was preparing for this class that this was not set up the way that I had intended it. It didn't come out quite the right way, and it's something that I'm wanting to change. But right now, it looks like all the information is there. This was just a collage of words to get them thinking about language and words and things of that nature. Right here is an article in which it's another resource that they can tap into about what language arts is. And then here's the assignment. The purpose is to ponder a basic question and respond with a creative answer using literary devices and figurative language. Now they can respond, since this is their first open-ended response, they can respond with just a simple response, or they can upload a media file, a Google Doc, an audio file, things of that nature. So their first assignment is to explain and define language arts using literary devices. Below is their rubric. It's for 10 points. And one, it needs to be creatively expressed using the literary devices as a second markup in their points. So that's important that they look at that and follow those guidelines on the rubric. After that, the students shall move on to the Quizlet resource. This is a resource that students will be able to use to sum up their understanding of the figurative language and literary devices unit before they actually take the quiz. This is a pre-quiz. Not quite sure why this is not linking up. There we go. Quizlet is an LTI integration tool that can be used in the Canvas LMS. When I was doing my research, I found out about this LTI application that can be integrated. And while I didn't quite get the understanding of it, Quizlet did offer me an app on my iPad, and I'm able to go ahead and create flashcards for my literary devices. And so I create this externally from Canvas, and Quizlet you can use. It's a good resource for educators to have. You can create all sorts of things for any type of subject, and I found it to be very useful. So this is just a pre-assessment for students to use, and they can just flash through the flashcards and test their skills and their knowledge. And I can use their ideas that are generated there on the site, or I can create my own as well. So again, very useful in using that, and that's to prepare their students for their final assessment, which they will go to next, and that is a quiz through Canvas itself. Now this quiz section, when I got to designing this part of the course, became very difficult and frustrating for me. I'm an iPad user, and I've used my iPad all the way through designing my developmental course. And when I came to the quiz section, it was very challenging and frustrating, like I said. And on my iPad, when I was forming the questions, I was not able to edit my questions. And it became very frustrating, and consequently, I ended up redoing the quiz 5 different times because I kept messing up my questions and there was no way for me to edit. But I got frustrated. I was like, surely there's a way for me to edit these questions. I shouldn't have to go back and redo a quiz every single time. So I decided to go back to my Dell laptop and use a Windows-based operating system, and saw that there indeed was an option to edit the quiz question. It just was not compatible on my iPad in editing those questions. So that was frustrating, but I learned on the other hand. So finally, here's my questions. After 5 tries, this is my 6th try. And I got questions, and I use all the different question formats such as true and false, fill in the blank, multiple choice. I liked that there was different options in here, and when I designed the questions, again, it was on my iPad, and that was just a little frustrating as well. It got confusing, and again, I had to have multiple tries at doing the quiz. But I liked that there was something like question 7 where I could use and incorporate multiple answers, a checklist like that. So that was great. Question 9 was to write a paragraph. So this was the open-ended question, as you can see right here.